Welcome to the next video in the systems programming series. We've just finished talking about chapter 2, and so looking at the assignments for this week, we've finished that part. And so now we're moving on to the programming assignment. So in this assignment, the first thing is to pull up the password.c file, and it wants us to write a program that asks the user for a word and creates a bad password from it. You can assume that the characters are all lowercase. We can see some example use cases here. So you make from the make file, it automatically calls this. You run the program and it prompts you for an input, and then you produce this response and the program terminates. It explicitly tells you how the bad password is generated. So E's replaced by 3, L's replaced by 1, A's replaced by at. So come over to the the assignment code distributed through GitHub. Going to the password file, you see now I've already implemented the solution, but what I want to do, you can certainly see the solution right here, but I figure it's worth, basically building it from scratch and talking through the thought process as we go. So we'll comment all of that out and start from scratch. We're going to prompt the user for some input. Well, before you do that, you have to get the space where that input is going to go allocated. So we're going to start by putting a char star. I like to name it output because it will ultimately hold the output to at least the print command that we'll ultimately use. And we want to allocate a certain amount of space. The program didn't say how much space, but we have to make some kind of a decision about how much space. We could get really fancy with this program, but I'm going to do sort of one of the most lazy implementations of this and just declare a fixed amount of space. And we could declare a lot more, but why complicate things? Let's go ahead and just allocate space for 10 instances of char. What you should always do right away is check for null. So if null, then we want to print some kind of message about how malloc failed, formatted at least a little bit nicely, although almost certainly this error message will, almost certainly this check will never really matter, but if it does happen, we'll go ahead and exit with code 1, just, whatever, right? We'll just understand that the code 1 is the code for a malloc fail, but again, this isn't going to come up, so all of this really doesn't matter that much. I am, just to make sure that we know how to do this, or at least that we're sort of aware of issues like this, I am going to worry about what happens if the user merely pressed enter with no text. So if the user merely presses enter with no text, there isn't even going to be a single character. Well, I guess that would actually yeah, okay. So I think I defensively programmed against this in my earlier work, but maybe I actually didn't have to, because if that happens, then at the very least, the array is going to store the null character as the only thing in it, and still I would be able to say that I would be able to access index 0 of the array and see that the null character is there and know that, well, this is a string of length 0 effectively. So anyway, I think, what I did down here in my earlier implementation kind of didn't really think about that. So now that it occurs to me, I'm not going to worry about that. So I could just go ahead and directly prompt the user for an input. So enter a word no more than 9 characters. I don't know why I picked this particular limit, but it doesn't matter. Scanf, and by the way, no more than 9 characters because I need that 10th position for the null character. Now we're going to use scanf and say that %f ss, because I want to take the user's input and pass it into, or copy it into, the output variable. And so that is how we accomplish that. And now I'm simply going to perform the loop over the length of this object. But because, we don't know how long the user's input was, then we should probably check it character by character. So let's go ahead and say char current is equal to the output's 0th index. I'm going to use an index, but we're going to control this with a while loop because I want to go while, the value of current is not the null character. But then that means that I'm going to do this with a while loop, and then that means that I need to sort of manually handle my index. So we're going to initialize my index to 0, and we can just get into it now. So while my index is less than 9 and my current character is not the null character. So as long as those two things are true, then that means that I have some processing that I would like to do. And so what do we want to do first? Well, maybe we'll just check if the current character is equal to, I think E is replaced with 3s. So if the current character is E, then I would like to take output at index I and assign it the character for 3. If current is L, then I would like to replace output at index I with the character for 1. And if current is, what's the E, L, and A? A was the other one, and we'll replace that with at. And otherwise, we leave it alone, which we don't need to write. Now I would like to increment the character as well as the index. So let's go ahead and say I++, so that increments the index. Current set equal to output at I. And so that should increment everything. So eventually we'll either get to the null character in current, or we'll get to the value 9 for the index I. And so I think that should do it. And so now the output should now be the bad password. And so we would like to report to the user what the bad password is. So we would like to say printf your bad password is %s period, maybe line break, and output. And finally, return 0, which actually that might be redundant because I think I did not comment out return 0 down here. Let's remember that output was malloced, and so we should say free output and possibly null the pointer. Okay, so I think that did it. And so if we make password success, and you can see up here that the executable was created. And now I'd like to call password. It prompts me for my input. I'll just put a test. Ooh, something's not right. I freed, no, I think the issue is that I freed things up. And I shouldn't need to worry about the null character because that should have been done by the scanf. So I think actually I just need to free output here and then null the pointer there and do that after returning. So make enter test. Nice, that is exactly what should happen. If we try it again and we do elephant, then that is exactly the right result. And if we did rhythm, that is the right result. So there it is. Okay, that's a success. So we implemented password. And in the next video, we'll do the next part of the assignment.